some cracking saves, particularly from an incredible shot by Bernardo Silva towards the end of the game. But it has finished 1-1, and I'm still joined by Nicky Weaver and by Steve Howey. Steve, how would you assess that game today?
Do you know what? I think 1-1 probably is a fair result. I think, yeah, City, you know, we got our noses in front. Just couldn't quite get that second goal. Newcastle in the second half had a really good period where they put City under a lot of pressure. The goal, for me, listen, I think it's a penalty. I think it is a penalty, but I think it's a soft penalty. I don't think really Edison can go anywhere. I think Gordon's clever because he leaves his foot trailing to make that contact, and even though it's slight, I think it doesn't really leave the referee much option but to give it. Look, City could have nicked it right at the death. I think if it's a little bit further away from Nick Pope, it goes in because he hits it so well. But I think it's basically, as you would say, kind of down the goalkeeper's throat, and it's just that reaction where he gets his hand up. So, listen, the City players will be disappointed, but that's a tough place to go, you know. And we've seen over the years, we've had some great games over the years. I mean, it wasn't a classic, but it still was a good game and a tough test. I think both teams will be coming off. You've just sort of seen some of the lads there talk, and they'll be quite happy with a 1-1.
Nicky, what did you make of the game?
Yeah, obviously we went there to get the 3 points, but like Steve said, it's probably a fair result. You know, Nick Pope made a great save at the end of the game there from Bernardo Silva. Edison made a great save at the end of the first half from Joe Linton, so both keepers have played the part in it. Yeah, so, you know, looking at the game as a whole, probably a fair result. You know, is it a point gained or 2 point drop? The problem is now there's such fine margins in the Premier League and not many points get dropped. You almost feel a little bit like we've let Arsenal off the hook a little bit because they had a draw against Brighton a few weeks ago. But listen, you know, Newcastle did well, credit to them. And towards the end, City were pressing, but it still could have gone either way because, you know, both teams did have the chances near the end. But yeah, as you can see there, Newcastle players going around the stadium, they're absolutely delighted with the point. I think the fans are as well. And you know, I think Eddie Howe would have snatched their hand off before that, and obviously I don't think Pep would, but as the game turned out, it was probably a fair result in the end.
It's a very jazzy, leafy print they've got on their training jumpers there. I think it's Leafs. I don't know what that's got to do with Newcastle, if somebody wants to let me know. We're going to go back over now to St James's Park, where FG and Michael Brown are pitchside.
Honours even, 1-1, probably a fair result, Brownie.
Yeah, difficult place to come here, we know that. And just as you think you're getting control, FG, the support, the network, full credit to Newcastle, they controlled at the start of the second half where I expected us to do that. And with pace that they've got with Gordon, just that one little lapse where the ball's shredded through, then a difficult situation. They put a little bit of pressure on down the right-hand side, creating some opportunities with crosses. City kept going right till the end. That chance for Haaland, I think, and here we go, Savinho, brilliant, crosses it back, perfect for Haaland, but you know, it just wasn't to be. The chance just before that with Pope making a good save to the right-hand side. But overall, you've got to say, listen, tough grounds. At times you can't always win. This is football. This is the top of the Premier League. The players will be disappointed, but you know, we just keep moving on.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't win a league after 6 games, and if there's a fan base that knows that, it's our fans. And a shout out to the supporters in the top corner. We saw it at the start of the show. They're high up, but you can hear them all throughout, Brownie.
Yeah, you can. I mean, the atmosphere has been great today. Manchester City fans right at the top. It is a really, really high place to go and watch your football. But they'll have been quite pleased with a lot of the things that have happened today. I mean, the players at this level now, when they come away with a draw, whether it be at any top ground, they'll be disappointed. That's where the club is now. You'll win every single game, every minute. Pep and his staff will be wondering what could they have done a little bit tighter in possession. Certain key moments, I don't think we made the best decision. Normally we are better in those areas. But, you know, it happens. You look, the loading starts to happen now. Lots of games. Newcastle didn't play in the week. So they'll be a little bit fresh. We've got to take that into account.
Yeah, absolutely. There was chances at the end. That one from Bernardo as well. A good save by Pope. You just thought maybe it was going to be Oscar Bob 2.0, but it wasn't to be. But let's go back and look at that first goal. Fantastic work from Jack Grealish down that left-hand side. He was absolutely brilliant, causing problems, and a great finish by Josko Vardiol.
Do you know what? I was in commentary and I can see the space. I mean, it's easy when you sat watching, isn't it? I'm thinking, here he is. It was right just to our left-hand side here. I'm thinking, play on the ball, and the ball was a little bit short. We thought Trippier goes, right, it's a short one, I'm going to go. That's where Jack did very, very well. He realised the press was coming, flicked it past him, But then from there on, he's upright, he's balanced. Josko was already inside of the pitch. He allowed his run to go into the penalty area. Slide pass was good. I think he'd shoot with your left foot. He doesn't. That late little chop that he's got guides into the far corner. Brilliant goal all round from the team.
And a good save from Ederson in the final stages of that half, and then into the second half. And it was the penalty we conceded. I think it might be a little bit disappointed, perhaps, Ederson, with that one.
I think you always will be, but you've got a one-on-one situation. You've got someone with electrifying pace and Andy Gordon coming right at you. So you try to delay, you try to stay up. Nicky Weaver will tell you about that now, what the goalkeeper's thinking as he's coming towards him. But he commits, once he gets too close, he commits to that sort of the right-hand side to Ederson. But once he's gone, it happens so quick. There's minimal contact. Gordon just does a little bit of a touch, over he goes. And that, you know, you realise then you're under a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, I wouldn't worry too much, Brownie. I don't think many people will be worried too much. It is a point here at St James's Park, a difficult place to come where our title contenders have still got to come here as well.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's without question. The game coming this week, you're looking from a long time ago, that's going to be a difficult one. They were delighted to finish this game, just with a point. You can see the reaction with the bench, the way they were sort of trying to manage it, the officials, how long's left, going to make late subs. So that tells you, they haven't had the best of starts, but they've caused a lot of people here problems under Eddie Howey. We have to understand that. So I think it's a plus point. The manager will come out, pep as normal, and say, we weren't good at this, we weren't good at that. But he could also say, do you know what, it's a tough place, come here, we've got a point, and we move on now to the middle of the week.
Yeah, we absolutely do move on to the middle of the week. We're back in the Champions League, away from home, and then we've got Fulham at home in the league. So let's head back to the studio now. Thank you, Brownie, for your amazing coverage, as always. We will head back right now.
Thanks to FG and to Michael Brown for their pitchside coverage today. So, yeah, we need to go on and talk about the penalties. So, obviously, City were 1-0 up at half-time. The only goal in the second half came from a penalty. It was a foul by Ederson on Anthony Gordon. Now, the Premier League are now using X to immediately tweet out explanations for big decisions, which I really like. So, they've tweeted out on the Premier League Matchday Centre. This is their explanation for the penalty today. So, the referee awarded a penalty for a foul by Ederson on Gordon and issued a yellow card to Ederson, deeming that his actions were a genuine attempt to play the ball but denied an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. The VAR checked and confirmed the referee's call of penalty and a yellow card to Ederson. So, what do you make of the decision?
Yeah, I think it is a penalty, it's on the harsh side. Once we saw it, we were like, there's not much contact, but there's enough contact to make the decision not get overturned once it went to VAR. So, yeah, I mean, as a goalkeeper, when someone's bearing down, you know, you're trying to narrow the angles, you're trying to make yourself as big as you can. Anthony Gordon's took it to Edison's right, and your first reaction is, I can nick the ball. And obviously, you know, Gordon's quite a quick player, so he's nicked it away, and then you try and sort of pull everything away. But the modern day player, and they'll be told to do it, is leave your trailing leg there, and as soon as you get a touch from the goalkeeper, you go down. And so it's a soft one, but unfortunately it's part of the game now. And if it was, you know, if it was roles reversed and it was the other way, we'd be screaming for a penalty, wouldn't we? So yeah, it was a harsh one, and you know, Gordon got up and dusted himself down and dispatched it well.
Yeah, I agree. If it had been the other way around, we'd have been wanting a penalty, even though it did feel a bit soft. Is there anything Ederson could have done differently?
Not really, because I mean, ultimately, if he doesn't go to ground, Gordon probably rounds him and just rolls it into an empty net. So it's just one of them things. You have, when someone's bearing down on you, you have lots of thoughts going into it very quickly. You know, you've got to go off his touch, his pace, where the defender is in relation to the player. And yeah, it just happens so quick in a flash, and you make that judgment call. And unfortunately, he got it slightly wrong. No criticism of Ederson really, because you've got to go for the ball. And you know, I think a yellow card's right. There was no, you know, nastiness there or maliciousness or anything like that. So yeah, he just got unfortunate, and yeah, it's just the life of being a goalkeeper. You know, he saved us in the first half with a great save at the end, and unfortunately gave a soft penalty away in the second half.
So it did finish 1-1, but City did have some great chances in the second half. The one that stands out most for me, Steve, being that Bernardo Silva chance at the end, which he kind of completely made by himself. It was a great opportunity for him.
Yeah, I mean, it was a decent ball in the box, but his first touch is the thing. His first touch is key. That's a great touch, and then to swivel and hit it. And again, it was the same as the Joelinton one. He's kind of hit it too well. If he kind of mishits it a little bit, or as we sort of say, like shanks it a little bit, I think it deceives the goalkeeper more. And I think also, which helps the goalkeeper, is it's pretty much straight at him. And it is just that hand reaction. And if it's just a little bit further away or maybe it's a little bit closer to the ground, I think that goes in. It's more difficult for the goalkeeper to react to that. But yeah, you look at it, you're thinking, you know, can City just nick it? And I think they would have been delighted by that. I think Newcastle would have thought they'd have been hard done by if that was the case. I definitely think that the City players will be in the dressing room afterwards and they'll be disappointed they haven't gotten the 3 points. But it's a tough, honestly, it's a tough place to go. You know, I've been there as a Newcastle player and I know how opposition teams don't like going up there. And I've been on the opposition when you're with the lads, and we all know how difficult it is to go up there. As I said, they'll be thinking, the City lads will be thinking, Arsenal's got to go up there, Liverpool's got to go up there. And, you know, it's a tough ask to go up there and get the 3 points. So whilst they'll be disappointed, you get on the bus, you regroup and you look forward to the next game.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's a difficult place to go, but I can't shake out my head at the minute the fact that obviously we went there last season, we won, and for me, it was a pivotal game in the campaign. You know, obviously, you can look back now and say we wouldn't have won the league if we hadn't have won there, and it's got me thinking about Kevin De Bruyne again, obviously, because, you know, he had that incredible performance there last year. Is there any worry for you after you've seen this performance today about the fact that there is no Rodri for the season and that Kevin is still out?
Well, Kevin's not a long-term injury. You know, he will be back. I think with these players, this is more or less I wouldn't say the first time that they've played together, but with these two players missing, it is a tall ask for the lads to come in. I mean, as I said, they're very good players in their own right. Otherwise, they wouldn't be at Manchester City. It just so happened that they're playing a tough opponent. I think if it had been one of the other teams, without being disrespectful to the other teams, and they'd got the win, it would be like same old Man City. You know, they've got their injuries, but they just keep on winning and keep on winning. I think this was a real big question for Man City to answer. And to be fair, I think they answered it. I thought they played well in patches. So they had to dig in patches, which they did do. And credit, because as I said, they will be disappointed that they haven't gotten 3 points. But at the same time, to get a point and get on the bus, we haven't lost. They'll be relatively happy with that. Okay,
thank you. So it finished 1-1 today at St James's Park. There was another competition taking place today as well, and it was our possession game competition, where we ask all of our guests and our presenters to guess the possession that City will have in a game. We are doing this all season long. Here is the current league table, because Steve Howey, the possession today for City was 62%, as predicted by you. How do you feel?
Oh, that's wonderful.
So that means you were on the board as 0 because you got it exactly.
I was wondering, I'm thinking, how am I top, but I've got no points.
You're on 0. So Nicky Weaver, you are now second because you guessed 64%, so you are on 2. Kel's currently on 3. I'm on 4 because I predicted 58%, which, by the way, it was until like 15 minutes before the end. David James on 5, Clive Allen 6, Richard Dunn is on 8, Sam Allardyce 11, and Tubes is on 18.
Must make a point about that. We should look at it and maybe take a photograph, because it's not very often we see you in a lowly place of 4 on our league tables on the different stuff that we do.
Thank you. So I will accept that, Steve. Now, just to let you know, the rules of the game are every time you're on, you have the opportunity to guess, but you can also decline. You can decline to play again. So if I was you, Steve, I would decline to play for the rest of the season, and you are at least going to be joint top.
Here's the thing as well. You've got more chance to be out, accumulate points, the more times you're on.
Yeah. Well, no, that's it. So you're not accumulating points. This is the league table. You will be on 0 for the whole season.
So we're not playing anymore.
So the minimum, for you, the minimum is that you are going to be a joint winner. It's just whether you're going to win on your own or not.
Probably.
And Nicky, if Steve hadn't had such a great guest, I would have said stick. But you need to just gamble now. There's no point coming second, unless you want to go second.
Well, I can't get in front of Steve, can I?
No, you can join with him.
If he keeps declining, so yeah. There's worse people to finish second too, Steve.
Correct.
Yep, well, I'm going to be gambling until I'm up there with Steve. And I don't know, I feel like we need to make some sort of like halfway through the season rule where Steve has to start playing again or something, because I feel like the excitement's going to dwindle if he's just sat there at the top. every
But
week.
it was a good call. I mean, bang on, 62.
It was an absolutely brilliant call. Congratulations to you. So it is Saturday afternoon and City's next game will take place on Tuesday. So Tuesday, the 1st of October, is our first away game in the Champions League this season. Of course, the new look Champions League. We are going to be playing SK Slovan Bratislava. Gosh, I got that up on purpose. The capital of Slovakia. So a trip to Bratislava for Pep and his team. So just a little bit of info on them. They play in the Slovak Super League. They have won the last 6 Slovak Super Leagues, and they are currently, after 8 games, sitting top of the Slovan Super League again. So it feels like they're a pretty dominant team there in Slovakia. What a place to go as well. You know, Tuesday night in October, a trip to Bratislava, you know, have an amazing time for all the fans that are out there. First away game of the new Champions League format. Obviously, we had the draw with Milan at home. How important, Nick, is it that City win this one?
It's massive. I once spent 2 weeks in Bratislava.
Did you really?
Long time ago, yeah.
Why?
Doing
Under 21 World Championships was there.
Brilliant.
So yes, I've got limited knowledge about Bratislava, but yeah, I think Celtic beat them convincingly in the first round of games. So yeah, it's always difficult to go away in Europe, but it's a game that you would expect City to go there and win comfortably. I don't think, although they're 6-time champions, I don't think the Slovakian league is held in as high regard as some of the other European leagues. So yeah, it's a game that, you know, it's the first away game. I'm sure the fans will have a great trip over there, but yeah, it's one we'll expect City to get maximum points from.
So what was it like for the 2 weeks there? Did you get out and about in the city at all?
Hotel was nice. We didn't see much else. But yeah, we played a few games there. In fact, the EDS manager, Ben Wilkinson, his dad was the manager, Howard, of the under-21. So yeah, and I think we got knocked out with the quarter-finals, I think.
You've got a smirk on your face. Something kind of
No, not really.
mischievous.
I feel like that as well, Steve. Yeah.
Nearly did, but not quite.
There's a story that maybe we'll get in a minute.
What happens
off camera.
stays there? Is that what it is?
No, not from me. Some of the other lads, but not from me. Certainly not.
Looks nervous, Steve.
Doesn't he?
I've not mentioned anything now.
Definitely one for off camera, Steve. As Nick says, perhaps the Slovenian league is not up there with some of the leagues in Europe, but obviously you can only beat the teams that you've got, and Bratislava continue to do that year after year after year. 6 leagues in a row, top of the league currently. What do you think they'll be thinking coming in, which will be their first home game of the season against obviously Manchester City? How do you think they are feeling about the game?
Well, for them, it's you know, they'll look at it and think, listen, this is my opportunity to make a name for myself. You know, so they'll give it absolutely everything that they've got. The fans will, you know, no doubt they know all the Manchester City players. So for the fans, they'll make it a brilliant atmosphere as well, I'm pretty sure. But it is a game where you would have thought that it would be a relatively comfortable win. I mean, you certainly can't take anybody for granted. It would be very interesting to see what the team is. I mean, I know we looked at the bench and there's only 8 players on the bench and 2 of them are goalkeepers. So it'll be very interesting to see what kind of team Pep picks.
You thinking there'll be many changes from today's team?
I think there probably will be. I'm going to go, probably even half of them players mightn't play because of the injuries and whatnot and obviously the games that's coming up in the Premier League. I think he'd look to play maybe definitely some of the lads that were on the bench today. And possibly include maybe some of the younger ones in as well. And it's a perfect opportunity for them to get that experience as well, which some of them have already.
I think it's really important as well, because of the new format in the Champions League. Obviously, during the first game at home, it's imperative they get a good result, you know, away, because we don't know exactly how. I'm sure City are going to be in the top 8, don't get me wrong, but we're not quite sure exactly how the format's going to work out over the games. So, yeah, it's important that they get the 3 points to keep up with the top teams.
We absolutely do not want to be falling into those playoff places, like you say, because that involves another 2 games before you get to the knockout stages. So, yeah, it really does feel like it's a must-win for City.
Yeah, it is. I mean, as I said, I don't think the manager will play about a fantastic amount. I do think he'll make quite a few changes, but you know, the Manchester City players, even if it's a lot of the young lads, they're very, very good players. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. And I think the manager would trust even some of the young lads coming in. As I said, I don't think it will be a team where you're thinking, well, who's that? Whichever team he puts out, I still think it'll be a very strong team. Probably not his first choice team, but a team where there'll be lads there that maybe haven't played as many minutes as possibly they would have wanted or he would have wanted. And it's a perfect opportunity for him to do that.
Yeah, like Mateus Nunes, for example, who of course played in the Watford game and
Foden,
scored.
Doku and Savino have not started today. So, yeah, so listen, it'll shuffle the pack, I'm sure, but it'll still be a very, very strong City team.
And of course, the UEFA Youth League takes place on the day as well, so the under-21s will be travelling to take part in that as well, which I always think is an incredible opportunity for them, Nick, to travel away. And it will be, because we know when we go to teams like this, it will be a big crowd for the youth game, and it will be a great atmosphere for them to experience.
Of course, yeah, it's fantastic. You're sort of mirroring what the first team do, and you're sort of living, although it's been for the under-21s, you're sort of doing exactly what they do and sort of mirroring, you know, their schedule and everything, and they'll fly out together on the same plane, I'm sure, and yeah, great experience for them. But yeah, and there'll be a big crowd there as well, because obviously there'll be a lot of City fans over in the city, and you know, what better thing to do than, I'm sure they'll have a few refreshments at lunchtime and go off and watch the under-21, so I wish them well as well.
Oh, it'll be an absolutely cracking trip for them. Thank you. So there is a lot of football still coming up this week. Tomorrow, our women's team have their first home game of the WSL season. They are taking on Brighton. You can get live commentary on the Manchester City app from 12:30 for that game. It is available in the UK to watch on the BBC. And then, of course, as we just mentioned, the UEFA Youth League live on City Plus. That is on Tuesday. So if you're not going out to Bratislava, you can watch that on City Plus. That is a 1 p.m. kickoff for the Youth League. And then Tuesday night, I'll be back. Matchday Live is back from 6:45 p.m. We'll have Nedham and Sean Wright-Phillips in the studio. Nick, you're on co-coms. And we'll give you all the team news straight away at 6:45, the first place to get all of your team news. Nicky Weaver, thank you very much for being here today. Thank you very much, Steve Howey.
Pleasure.
Congratulations on your possession.
Thank you.
Success. Travel safely back across the country to both of you. And thank you very much for joining us on Matchday Live today, wherever you're watching around the world. We really appreciate your company today. So not to be for the 3 points today, but City have picked up what could end up being a really valuable point at St James's Park. We'll see you on Tuesday.